IB English class, we are analyzing language and dialect and how it can affect a culture.
For our FOA project, we decided to analyze the community of Hillsboro by asking you a few questions.
These questions will show us how you feel about Hillsboro's language as a whole.
Well, my language and dialect is a little bit different because I can speak more than one language, so it helps me because I can switch between different dialects because that helps me connect with the Hispanic community, and it also helps me better explain things in my Spanish class as a Spanish teacher. Regionally, my background's pretty diverse, so I teach now in Nashville, but my family is from West Tennessee, so it's very different. So I have a very rural background, but now I've been teaching in an urban setting, so it kind of gives me flexibility. But I think our community is diverse, so my dialect should also be diverse.
I think Hillsboro is a very diverse community and language is very diverse. So I think me being white, I can talk to white people and have a good conversation. I can also talk to people of different races and ethnicities and have a good conversation.
Yeah, I agree with Ella Grace. I feel like me as a black young lady, you can talk to anybody and you shouldn't have a problem with that.
I think it contributes in a way that it's a little diverse. I'm not completely on the urban side, but I'm not also not completely on the white side. So it's kind of just like the medium. So I guess I would be a good representative of what Hillsboro is. 50% black, 50% white.
I agree with Serge. I'm a little bit on the melting pot side, although I sway pretty heavily towards the AAV side. But when in formal situations and manners, I do tend to use more formal vernacular.
Exactly is what they were saying. I feel like they're pretty much as they put it, it's a big melting pot at Hillsboro. You got different communities, you got black, white, Hispanic, all types of people. So that melting pot, and then you got the code switching side. So you gotta kind of talk, as you would talk to the teachers as well as you would talk to the kids. It's kind of a different thing. So that language also improves the Hillsboro community as a whole, basically. So
I feel like my language and dialect contributes to Hillsboro's community because sometimes the way I speak offends Caucasian people and they don't know how to deal with it, and they get uncomfortable and assume things about me and treat me differently just because of the way I talk. It really just depends who I'm talking to, because I can talk to my friends any type of way, but when I'm with a big amount of group, I can it's certain stuff I can't say and what I can say. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Obviously, when I'm talking to my friends, I'm gonna be a little more lax. But when I'm talking to a group of people, I'm gonna be more my words are gonna make more sense and be more formal.
We're in the IB Academy, so we're kind of sectioned off from a lot of the norm. I guess the majority of people in classrooms, we would be anytime we're talking, it's usually among people that do code switch and are aware. When we're talking to people, it's usually people with who know the code switching and who are on both sides. But in terms of people who are just on one side and people on the other side, I know that usually we don't surround ourselves with people like that.
It can also affect small communities, the little small group of people you interact with, your friend group, stuff like that.
Definitely. More about what Serge was saying, how we're kind of sectioned off from people. So it's kind of hard to reach Hillsboro as a whole, whereas you reach them at different academies. But as people tap into more academies and learn more about each other, then the language can spread through the whole of Hillsboro.
I feel like a whole, really, because it's different when you talk to people who understand you and your culture, and then other people who don't understand and assume things and who are racist.
Language affects both small group and community. So in my classroom, I have to model the academic languages so that kids can rise up to academic register. It's different than how you talk at your dinner table or how you talk in your classroom with your friends. But then as a community, I think you kind of find middle ground. So being flexible with your dialect and having an open ear, a sensitive ear to understanding other dialects is helpful.
It depends. Like I can communicate with like I can have white friends with no hiccups really, which is nice. And then also like I can have just on both sides. You know, I have Latino friends. Like I'm Dominican, so like having a Latino friend and like having to speak Spanish occasionally with them isn't a problem. So and just being friends with different people, obviously that messes with your identity. So
Yeah, I definitely think language can get you accepted in various groups and stuff like that in communities. I feel like mine personally, I'm probably less accepted in the white community.
yeah, you suck.
Cause like I talk a little different. Language kind of manifests all your kind of background information and stuff like that, and mine just is not in that spectrum. But yeah,
I feel like being able to describe, like being able to switch from languages, how you speak, all around to the different people you talk to, that kind of helps you a lot because the world, again, like we said, how Hillsboro's a melting pot, the world can be a melting pot with all types of business owners, people that you're talking to. So I feel like the language definitely affects you and who you are if you're able to switch, or if you're not, it can decide on who you work with, who you work for, all that type of thing. So yeah, definitely language affects who you are.
My language impacts my identity because if I was to speak how I usually speak and somebody who doesn't really understand it will assume I'm somebody of a particular kind, aka ghetto or something. But if I was to speak in a different way that they would understand, they would seem like I'm a good person.
My language impacts my identity because there's way more to language than just words. There's concepts like gender and numbers, feminine and masculine words. That's a whole new changing concept in English right now, but imagine what it's like in the Hispanic community when so much of your language is defined by masculine and feminine gender. So there's a lot to really think about.
I mean, like going back to like the first question, I think me being able to like talk to a lot of different kinds of people like is really important because America is like a mixing pot, a melting pot of everyone, and that's a good part of your identity is being able to adapt to people around you in different cultures and stuff like that. So I think, you know, being able to code switch and stuff like that is really important.
Yeah, I agree with Ella Grace. Like, I'm Asian and black, so growing up, I didn't speak English, but over time and growing up, I did have to like learn how to speak English, but just learning to adapt and try new languages, I guess, because I took Spanish too, so it was just like, you know, it's cool learning new things.